Have you ever put so much time and energy into something positive that you thought was going to turn out really spectacular, only to find out that it was a womp womp? Well, if you have, trust me, you are not alone. And today we are going to talk about it. Thank you for joining me. Let's get into this. So many times we find ourselves, we have these grand ideas, or maybe they might not even be so grand. It just might be an idea that you think may work. You could be starting a new business. You could be writing a book. You could even decide to, I don't know, go back to school. Whatever it is, something in you said, you know what, I think this is going to be good. I think in this season of my life, this is what is going to be my next endeavor. You may even pray about it and feel like, okay, I feel like I'm on the right track. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And so then you put all of this time and your emotions and your energy and your efforts into building this thing, into participating in this thing, only to find out that you have to burn it down. And sometimes you may not have to burn the entire thing down. Maybe you have to burn out some particular parts of the idea or of the build. But in some cases, you really and truly have to burn it down so that you can build it better. The reason I'm talking about that this week on the podcast is because I'm experiencing that right now. So I am inviting you to come into my lived experience today. Many of you may know I wrote a book and put it out the end of 2023. The book was entitled, or is entitled, Unstoppable. And about 6 to 7 months after I had written this book and put it out and was promoting it, I'm in my prayer time, and I feel like the Spirit of the Lord is telling me I'm going to have to rewrite this book. And I was like, no, that can't be so, because I have, poured into the writing of the book the way it is, sent it, got it edited, and did all the things that you do before you put the book out. And, it takes months. And so I was like, no, let's put this on the back burner and pray about it again another day. And I kind of felt like I still had that same kind of unction, in my spirit, like, oh, you're going to have to rewrite this book. But it didn't make sense to me. I couldn't figure out why. Why would I have to rewrite the book? And this was my first time writing a personal development book. Anything that was, specifically the goal was to help a woman well, I won't go into all the details, but it was to help you grow and become better. Now, the two books I had written previously were both novels. But even in my novels, they're still about women. It's all about women and the different journeys, the different experiences that we have and go on, and things of that nature. So again, first jab at personal development, and I was like, well, I can't possibly see how this would equate to a rewrite. Like, what do you want me to put some more scripture in it? Were my points not clear? Like, I just could not figure it out. So eventually, I just was like, I just need to set that. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm gonna leave that right on there on the altar, and I am going to just move on with my life. And every blue moon, it would kind of gnaw at me a little bit, like, oh my gosh, should I be rewriting this book? Well, long story short, on this last week, it really um, came like up again, but in a different way, like a different, like gnawing at me. And I also learned some new things about personal development books and about writing. And, I usually, like I love to go to like writers conference and, just take different kind of writing classes and things like that because I'm the kind of person, like, I feel like you can never know enough. You can never, even if you love your craft, you can always become better at it. So anyway, I'm like, okay, Lord, what is this whole rewrite this book? Like, I had even got to the point where I was re-promoting my prior book because I didn't know what to do with this whole unstoppable. Well, oh, I got confirmation on this last week that I needed to rewrite it, how I needed to rewrite it, and the different things that I need to do when getting ready to relaunch or reproduce this book. And I felt not overwhelmed, but annoyed. That's the best word, because I felt like annoyed with myself. Like, did I miss God? Like, when I was writing the book, did I write it prematurely? Did I not seek his face enough? Like, why do I have to rewrite this book? And so I was like, I remember several years ago, I sent an email out to my email list, and it was something along the lines of burning it down and building it better. And I probably I should have pulled that email up so I could have just reread it and soothed my soul. But I was reminded of that phrase that I said in that email, burn it down and build it better. So my point is it not worth burning down what you've built to make it better? And there are sometimes reasons why we don't want to burn it down. For one, we've put so much energy into it, and we thought, like, this was great. Like, this was going to be the thing, whatever the thing was supposed to be. um Sometimes it's even fear, like, okay, if it didn't work for me the first time, if I burn the first version down and rebuild it, who's to say it's going to work the second time? Sometimes it's, we don't really want to sit and wait and pray and get the proper instructions on the rebuild. So we're like, okay, this over here is half working. I'm gonna just go ahead and stick with the half working, as opposed to just tearing it down so that it can be better, especially if it's something that you believe that the Lord is prompting you to do. If the Lord Himself is prompting you to tear something down or rearrange something, or, like I said, just burn off certain things of something, wouldn't it be advantageous for you, for me, for us to get into agreement and alignment with the Father and say, I know, like, I don't want to tear down what I built. But if you're saying this is never going to work this way and that I need to do it another way, then I'm going to get on board with you, because whatever God has for us is going to be His best. If we follow His blueprint, His instructions, His vision, and we allow His vision to become our vision, then we know in the end that it's going to be what it was intentioned to be. Sometimes, like, you know, um, I'm reminded of, like, when I was in my 20s, I was like real crazy, right? And I was just on fire for the Lord. Just like, I mean, I could just feel like God gave me like a little inkling of something, and I'll just take off running. But I mean, it was like zeal with no knowledge. Like, I wouldn't really get a full understanding or wait for you know, um, the whole picture. I would take my one little puzzle piece, run with it, and then just make up my own pieces for the rest of the puzzle. And 9 times out of 10, that way would blow up in my face. So, what I'm saying is, if you, in fact, intentionally or unintentionally, it's not always intentional that we go our own way, but if in fact you have gone your own way, and what you're doing is not working out because either one, you didn't seek the Lord first, or two, you sought the Lord, but you maybe got a misunderstanding, like it was a little static on the line, so you thought you were supposed to go this way, but you really weren't. And that's okay, because even in those processes, we learn, we grow, we develop, and we continue to become. the women that God is calling us to be, even through our mistakes. You will always hear me say it's nothing wrong with failing as long as you fail forward, as long as you don't allow the so called failure to stop you in your tracks and limit you and prevent you from continuing to move forward in whatever it is that God has called you to do or build or become. So, again, if you either A, didn't seek the Lord on the build, or B, you sought him but maybe misunderstood or had that statically line again, it's okay to come back to the altar. It's okay to come back to the feet of the Lord and say, I know I built this way. And God, it doesn't seem to be working. Did I miss you? Was I supposed to do it differently? Do you have instructions for me? And I am just a believer that when we seek the Father, he hears us and he will show up and he will give us instructions and he will guide us. The problem, the next problem is sometimes we're not always patient enough again to wait and make sure that we have at least, because sometimes God is not going to give us the whole puzzle. But sometimes he'll be like, hey, I'm going to give you these three pieces, right? These three clear pieces that fit together. And once you've been obedient and you've completed these three pieces, then I might give you six more. And then you complete those three pieces. Then I might give you one more because I want you to kind of stay right here for a minute, and then you complete that piece, then he might give you three more. And then as you begin to be obedient and you connect each piece the way that he is asking you to connect, eventually the puzzle is complete. But the thing about it is the puzzle is complete the way that God wanted it to be completed. So the build is now his build and not just um, your own actions and your own energy, because anything that we do without God, we have to depend on our own selves and our own strength to maintain it. However, when we are in partnership and yielded to the Father and we're building what he has called us to build, then he is responsible for the build. He is responsible for making it come to pass. Our part in it is the obedience part. If we're obedient to his build, his blueprint, then he is going to make sure that it becomes the thing that it should become. So, my encouragement to you today is it is okay if you have to burn it down to build it better, because I would rather. So, say for instance, with this book, you know, I could say, you know what, I am not rewriting that book. Like, I put time and energy and effort into that book. And if it's not God's will for that book the way I wrote it to be successful in, whatever we deem as success, for a writer, then the book is never going to prosper. It's never going to be what it was intended to be because I'm not doing it God's way. So I could spin my wheels. I could promote it. I could do all the things that we should do to get our message out there for the next 10 years. And it might sell some copies here, sell some copies there. But if I take a step back and do what I believe God is telling me to do, then just imagine what fruit the obedience could bring. And it's like, okay, you might sell, I don't know, 3,000 copies your way, and you might sell 10,000 God's way. I mean, either way, it's not a whole lot of books, but it's a difference in the obedience. It's a difference in wanting to really do things God's way. And that's in every aspect of our life. It's not in just our service that we feel like. So like I serve women. I believe that is my whole purpose. Is to, as far as my biblical purpose, yes, I'm a wife and I'm a mom, but my purpose outside of my home is to serve other women, to help them be able to see in them what God has placed in them for their lives to be what God has called it to be. And So I don't just mean in service, I mean in every aspect of our lives. If we seek Him first and get again His blueprint, no matter what our endeavors are, God may take us through some rocky times to accomplish His goal, but His goal will be accomplished successfully, God's successfully, if we do it His way. Now, again, we can sometimes do things our own way and get all the success and the accolades that the world has to offer. But if God is not pleased, have you really been successful? If you do it all this way and it turns out great, but God is not pleased, then when you get ready to go to the Lord, it's even that much harder to burn it down. So, say you built something that is deemed very successful in the world's eyes, and God is like, I didn't have nothing to do with that. We're about to burn that down. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. Just imagine if I wrote a book without God and I sold 1,000,000 copies. And God is like, yeah, I didn't have nothing to do with that. We about to burn that down. What? What do you mean? So let me come back to myself. Let's do it God's way. And if we haven't and we've missed the mark, let us not be afraid to burn it down. And you guys, I'm way under 20 minutes this week. So I think that's all I got. So I hope this is helpful to whoever is listening in today. I'm always trying to give you food for thought because I'm a firm believer that if we share knowledge with one another as we grow, the person next to us grows. And then the person next to them can grow. If we hoard everything that we learn that God has given us, how can we expect to be a blessing to anyone else? So, once again, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And for now, that's all I got. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye. Thanks for joining the journey today. Connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. And remember to join me the first Saturday of each month for a live coffee and chat on my YouTube channel.